we're going to get started. And as I've said in every piece that I've sent out, every message, everything that my social media person sent out, I talked about the fact that Trudi and I met. Trudi, it was like 4 years ago now, maybe. And literally it has been, I met her in my office, and somebody told us that we should meet. So I didn't know anything about her. She didn't know anything about me. Her story fascinated me. And she left me a copy of her book, Flagged by the Feds. Y'all, I read this thing. I couldn't put it down. I could not put it down. And so I asked her if I could interview her. At the time I was doing shows on Amazon Prime. We're going to get back on there, but we're not on there now. But I interviewed her, and it was just an amazing, it's an amazing story, but more than that is the fact that she has this spirit that just, it just captured me. It just captured me. And so after we did the interview, we parted. And then I had a second time to interview her because Benita Johnson with the Vine Wine Club has and I kept telling Benita, you need to get Trudi on. So she had her on, and I interviewed her that time. So now, welcome to ABC Conversations. ABC is anything but COVID. We talk about anything but COVID. Okay. And so I thought about Trudi. I said, I just need her courage and her energy, because what we're going through now as far as COVID is concerned is nothing like what she went through. And she was just sharing that she doesn't see her boys that often. She only sees her mom once a week because she wants to keep her mom safe. Everybody has a lot going on now. But what I think, I just know that Trudi is just a true survivor. And I felt like we could all use that energy. So having said that, Trudi, you know that I let you do most of the talking, but I want you to kind of start from the beginning. And so when I say the beginning, you start with you were a successful stylist, you had your own business, you were raising your sons, you had come out of a divorce, if I'm not, okay. And so you were rocking and rolling and making, life was happening in a good way. And then this is the phrase that I will never forget as long as I live. I said, how did you get into this? How did you end up getting into this? And you said, I met a man. So let's just start where you met the man. Let's just start there.
You love this part.
I do. I love this part.
First of all, good evening to everyone. Hope everybody is doing well. Ms. Rita, as always, thank you so much for having me and giving me another opportunity to share my story. There's so much that has happened since we last spoke, but I'm just excited to be here and share my story. So I hope that someone learns something and is encouraged and inspired by.
Can you come closer?
You still want me to come closer? How about that?
Yeah, because I think we can hear you a little bit better.
Okay, how's that?
Okay.
So I was saying thank you, and I hope that someone is inspired. I hope that I can offer someone, just some information and just enlighten you and just share about my experience. Still very much in recovery. But let me start at Ms. Rita's favorite part on, I met a man. So, I was out of a divorce and raising my 3 sons. And, really was just trying to focus on recovering from the divorce and rebuilding my life. And honestly, I turned to worship. I turned to my ministry and just kind of focusing on just getting in a place with God to get restored and to kind of heal from that divorce. And somewhere, some years down the line, you know, during a revival service, I met a man. He walked in and, you know, he was a part of a group of other men and a pastor. And I met him, and I was an administrator in ministry at the time. And so I was responsible for connecting, scheduling the services, connecting the pastors, and, you know, doing what administrators do for church, you know, setting schedules and planning other classes. And you know, I was in contact with him. And over time, you know, we became friends. He was a single man, very talented, very charismatic, very gifted. And we became friends. And over time, that friendship turned into dating. And then more time went on, and then the dating turned into a relationship. And from there, you know, we became a couple. He said that he was going to marry me, and we started planning, you know, marriage. But also he wanted to, you know, just be about the work of the ministry. And I was very encouraged by that because I love doing ministry work. I love doing administration. And so I was very much looking forward to standing beside him and working in ministry. We were in a relationship for 7 years, no marriage, you know, just a lot of heartache and pain. And ultimately I ended up in prison as a result of being in this relationship. It took a lot of twists and turns, and I ended up going to prison for signing my name on documents trying to support the ministry and support his vision.
So Trudy, he wanted to start a business, right?
Yes.
And so your signing the documents was just part of the process of working with him to assist him in starting this business. And of course, you didn't have a problem with signing your name because you guys were going to get married.
Yeah, we were in a relationship. Right. We were very good friends.
Right.
You know, I knew his family. He knew my family.
Right.
Over time, we had just became very close. And because I was looking forward to really having a future, spending the future with him, I didn't mind signing my name, you know, to support him in ministry. And then as administrator, it was also one of my duties.
Right.
You know.
So let's just, okay, so after 7 years, you felt like he was not going to marry you, so you decided to split, right?
Well, yeah, a lot of things happen in between there, you know, with the business, and just over time, as time went on, it seemed like our relationship, our friendship, we were growing further apart. And it just seems like the relationship was getting progressively worse. And, you know, us as women, I mean, I speak for some of us as women, you know, if you're a woman that loves hard and, you know, you're in connection with someone that you really care about, and then you get it just seems like it's not going anywhere, and you putting your hopes and dreams into it and it's not happening. I felt like I was putting my life on hold. I was in my, you know, my 30s and already with children, already divorced, and just really wanting my life to go in a different direction, a positive direction. And I thought by connecting to this pastor, and I'm not by any means, you know, bashing pastors or men in general, but just this particular situation in my life, you know, I just felt like he was stringing me along. You know, over time, I felt like, you know, my gifts and talents and what I brought to the table as far as administration, as far as, you know, support, as far as, you know, praying and just being a face for ministry, that he benefited from that.
Right.
So after, you know, helping him, you know, the relationship turned violent at one point.
That's why I remember that you said that he became physical, it got physical. And
yeah,
so,
right.
And so you decided to walk away from it.
I decided,
and
yes.
You ultimately moved down to Florida.
Louisiana.
Oh, where'd you go? Carolina?
Louisiana.
Louisiana, that's right. Louisiana. So you took the kids and went to Louisiana. Now I can't remember, was that to get away from him or just to start all over? Because you had spent a lot of your money on him, for him. So
Yes.
you just wanted to start anew?
I did. I wanted a fresh start, and our relationship ended on such a bad note. It was just, it had gotten very emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, but some physical abuse happened. And when it turned physical, that was kind of like where, that was the end for me. Like I kind of took the emotional a little bit, kind of took the verbal a little bit, but when he started putting his hands on me, it was like, okay, I just don't want to be that girl. Okay.
Right.
So I started kind of untangling myself from all of his business dealings, and just trying to detach myself from, the ministry and, saying I wanted to put more focus on, some things that my boys wanted to do. And so I just kind of started making excuses for not being connected anymore. Because, I mean, we weren't married, by this time we're living together. I'm kind of like living a lie, trying to, be a face of ministry for the public, and then shacking up in the background. And that just is not who I wanted to be. And so now, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get out of this abusive relationship. And so I did. I wanted a fresh start. I had packed his things and asked him to leave my home. He became very verbally abusive, and threats were made. And so from that point on, I was fearful a little bit. And I said, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me go and get a fresh start and just be safe.
Okay.
So that's what I did. I went to Louisiana, which is where I'm from, where my family resides. And I got a fresh start. I got a job there, and things were going very well until the feds showed up.
Well, wait, the Fed's not showing up. Oh, well, they did, because you were getting ready to come back to Richmond like a year or so later, wasn't it? A year or so before they showed up?
No, they showed up in Louisiana. I had been living in Louisiana when they showed up.
But that's what I'm saying. But you had been away from your guy for a year or so?
Probably a little more than a year, maybe close to 2 years. Yeah.
So, I mean, your life is cool. Everything is great. And they show up at your door with suits on and sunglasses. I'm being facetious, but.
No, actually, it was a car. It was a car.
Okay. All right. We can laugh now, but I was crying the first time we talked. So they brought a card. What did the card say, and what did you have to do?
It said call them, it said call, and I was curious, but nothing came to mind about like, why is a federal agent showing up at my door, anything like that. But I did call the car back, and the agent asked to meet with me, and I said meet with you, what is this regarding? And he said in so many things, in so many words, this is regarding a past employer. He mentioned the name of the ministry and was just like, we just had some questions. Can you meet with me? And I got with a friend and I said, look, I'm gonna meet with this agent, and I need you to go with me, just make sure everything is what it's supposed to be. And when I got there, he had.
You were coming. You said, I'm coming to Richmond, right, in a couple of days, or not?
Well, no, this was the initial contact.
Okay, all right.
The Louisiana agent told me that I needed to contact the Richmond agent.
Got it.
Basically, when I met with him, he was saying, they were trying to locate me and that I needed to contact them. So when I called the Richmond agent, he said, we want you to come in. We need to talk to you, ask you some questions about, this ministry. And I said, I'm not affiliated with them anymore. I've severed the ties. I moved on with my life. I don't know where he is. I don't, I'm just free from all of that. And he said, well, yeah, understood. But, you kind of need to call this agent. They have some questions. And that is when I contacted, the agent in Richmond, and they said, hey, can you come in? And I said, well, I'll be there for my girlfriend's wedding. They were very accommodating, like, oh, it's no rush. We just want to talk, we'll fly you down, we'll put you in a hotel. And I'm like, well, look, my mama lived there, so I don't need the hotel. I'll come in and talk to you, but you got to wait till after the wedding. And they were like, okay, no problem. Whenever it's convenient for you, whatever. So I said, okay. And let me tell you, that is when my life changed. When I went into that federal building downtown, and I went by myself, because I'm like, okay, they have questions, I don't have anything to hide. I didn't do anything wrong. Let me see what they're talking about so I can just be on my way. Well, when I walked into that building and walked into that office, it was about maybe 6 or 7 Caucasian faces looking at me in the office. And I felt very vulnerable, very unprotected. And I'm like, hey, do I need a lawyer? And they said, no, of course not. You didn't do anything wrong. We just have some questions for you. No, you don't need an attorney. I said, okay. And from there it went to, really a very soft interrogation. And you have to keep in mind, I'm very green to this. I've never been in any trouble, didn't have any charges against me, barely had a speeding ticket. So I was very green to this process. I'm thinking, agents are calling me, I'm going in and see what they want, tell them what they want to know, and then I'm out, So, but that was not the case. I felt very, very vulnerable and uncomfortable sitting at that table and having them just really, gently question me, ask me different questions about, paperwork, a lot of which I had created, some I had never seen before, asking me questions about him and what he was doing, and tell him about the ministry and all that. And I'm defending him because I'm not thinking that anything was done wrong. So, I'm defending him like, oh no, explaining everything. And so then the lady, the district attorney or whatever, she slammed her hand on the table and was like, look, that's it, no plan. I need to know the truth kind of thing, just had an attitude with me. And I'm like, wait a minute, I volunteered to come here. I need a break. Let's take a break. Took a break. They followed me into the restroom. They did leave me by myself, walked me back in, and I told them, look, this meeting is over. That's when I became very, very afraid, like, you know what, I should not have come to this table by myself. I should not have met with these people. I just felt like I was set up. And sure enough, the information, as much information as I provided, it was used against me later because they were trying to build a case, and I gave them, I guess, exactly what they needed to build a case on me. So it was very, very scary. So my mission had been like, hey, look, if the feds call you, get a lawyer. Don't talk to them. I preach that to anybody. If they call you, do not talk to them. Get a lawyer. Protect yourself, because I just could not believe that I ended up in prison and have no criminal background or anything like that. Just, like I said, very green to the process, just trying to live my life. And, got accused of different things that they couldn't prove, but I didn't know how to fight it. I got a bad lawyer. Everything that could go wrong for me in defending myself went wrong because I just didn't know. I just didn't know the process.
And Trudi, didn't they tell you that he threw you under the bus?
They did tell me that. That was one of the things they said. They said, do you know that he called us on you? He was the one that told us that you stole money from him and stole money from his ministry, and that, he couldn't find you. And I was like, really? I said, oh, okay. And that's when I was mad. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, he did? Oh, okay. I'm getting ready to go now. I really don't have anything to say now.
Yeah.
It's just very hurtful because this is someone I cared about. This is someone that ultimately I ended up in an abusive relationship with and did marry me. And now I got to go to prison. Really?
Yeah.
So
So Trudy, so after you left them that day, how long was it before you, did you have to go through a trial? I don't remember. Did you have to go through a trial? They had
No,
everything they needed?
I didn't have to go through a trial. When I left that office that day and went back to Virginia, I hadn't heard from them in nearly 3 years. And then all of a sudden, they sent me an email telling me that I was going to be charged. And the federal.
So was that 3 years from the time you were in Virginia, then you went back to Louisiana? That was 3 years?
Yeah, because I was living in Louisiana, so I left Louisiana to go back home and go to work and everything, and I didn't think anything of it. Like, they didn't contact me anymore, so it was like a little over 2 years before I even heard anything from them again. And I'm saying, what? And they're charging me. So the agent called and he said, hey, I'm just calling you as a courtesy to tell you you'll be getting an email from the district attorney, the United States attorney. And he said, get a lawyer, get a good one. And I said, charging me with what? And he said, look, I can't go into any questions or anything. He said, just get you a lawyer, get you a good one. And I was like, wow. And so that began a journey of now trying to get an attorney, defend myself, go through sentencing, pleading guilty, because I did plead guilty because they began to threaten my family, the feds I'm talking about, and that's where, the story goes from, like, all the tactics that they use to try to incriminate you. And when you start talking about my mother and my children, my parents, oh no, where do I sign? What y'all want me to do? Not letting my kids or my mother go down for, something that the feds is trying to connect us to. And it just was a horrible situation altogether. When I talked to you the first time about it a few years ago, I guess 3 or 4?
About 3 or 4 years. It's been about 4 years, really.
Yeah, I was in a very, very dark place.
Yeah.
Still very insecure, still living under a lot of the shame of what happened, because it was just very, very raw then. Now some years have passed. I'm stronger. I'm able to look it in the face, own my part in it, own my irresponsibility, and just really be able to share my story, knowing that it just was something that it was just for real. It was just God's plan for me.
So that's where I want to go, because Trudy, when I did interview you the first time, you sat on the couch in the corner and you were just very quiet, and but when I saw you when I was with Benita some 2 years later in between, I could see the difference. I could see how you were coming back. Even now, as I'm hearing you, because you had no emotion when we talked the first time. You didn't really want to mention him. You were like, and I'm going, girl, please. But I see that you have just gotten it. So here's where I want you to go next. I want you to tell them, when your parents wanted to walk you into the courthouse, you told them no. And then when you got to the prison, what did you do? What did you do to maintain your sanity and also to do God's will?
So once I got charged, I really, really devoted myself to prayer. I mean, I really had to be devoted to prayer to get through it. It was such a scary ordeal to be faced with prison when your lawyer's telling you, oh no, they're going to put you on probation, you're not going to be charged. And it was just so scary. And I read that the judge sentenced me to 2.5 years for conspiracy to commit mail fraud. Okay. And he sentenced me for the next 30 days. I had to turn myself in 30 days later, which means, like, how do you prepare for that? Like, how do you prepare that your life is going to be put on hold and you're going to be snatched away from your family for the next 2.5 years, and you have 30 days to do it? Okay. So I started praying, and I began to just let the Lord minister to me, minister peace to my spirit, and just kind of give me a plan for how am I going to do this? How am I going to get through this? So I ended up having to self-surrender in Aliceville, Alabama. Okay. So what happened was Aliceville, Alabama was a new prison. So they were bringing women from all over the country, from different prisons, to this new prison to fill it up. What they call bed count, head count, something like that. Okay. So I was a part of that number where they said, instead of sending me to West Virginia, 5 hours away from my family, I was sent 12 hours away from my family. I started doing research on the prison. I had learned that there had been rumors or some information about women getting raped there by the officers. So I was scared to death, like, what in the world? Where am I going? And I tried to offer my kids some peace by saying, hey, I'm going to a prison camp. It's not like I'm gonna be behind bars. It's not like I'm gonna be behind the fence. I'm going to a camp, listening to all of this stuff about cupcake, prison cupcake, camp cake, whatever, camp cupcake. Okay. No, it's not no cupcake. But, so I was doing the research, but I was terrified. But the Lord gave me a peace that I couldn't really explain. And I got there the night before I had to turn myself in. My parents drove me to Alabama, and we spent the night in Birmingham. And I really got on my face and had to talk with the Lord. And basically it was like, Lord, I know that if you want to, you could take this cup from me, right? Sound familiar, right? But I said, but Lord, if you don't, you got to give me the strength. You got to give me the strength to go through this. And I know it's a bigger purpose. And I just started feeling that. I just started feeling like, yeah, I made a bad decision, and there's consequences for your actions. However, when you're in the will of God, things will work out for your good. You know what I mean? And so I just kept that in mind. I said, God, you're going to use this for my good. And I felt that peace. And I got up, went to Aliceville, to the prison. And I told my parents, they were prepared to walk me inside. And I said, no. I said, I don't want you to walk me inside. I said, because I have to take this journey alone. I said, and I'm going to walk in that door. I'm walking in by myself. And when I come out that door, I'm walking out by myself. I don't want y'all to go in with me. And, we cried and everything. And I walked that walk, and I prayed. And I said, God, I'm surrendering to you. I self-surrender to you. So when people see me, let them see you. When they hear me, let them hear you. And that was my prayer. And I went in there like empowered, feeling the presence of God. Walked in the door. I had my Bible. I had my glasses. I had a $25 check to put on my books, from doing the research. Prior to going, I just, got my affairs in order, did all the research on prison that I could to be as prepared as I could. And because, they don't give you like an instruction manual, for prison. Okay. So I'm taking this journey. And so I walked in and I went through the metal detector. And like I said, I had my Bible. And the first place that I went was solitary confinement. And it was like, because there were no beds in the camp. The camp was crowded, and they put me in solitary confinement. And at first they said, the special housing unit, okay, ma'am, we don't have any beds at the camp, so we're going to put you in a special housing unit. I said, okay, special housing unit, okay, that might be okay. Yeah, okay, real special, okay. I got in, they strip searched me. It was the most degrading experience that I ever had to go through. But, God was with me. And there was a young lady who had traveled in from another prison. She began to talk to me. She told me she was Christian, and we began to just, talk about our faith. And because she already had experience coming from being transferred from another prison, she kind of coached me through everything that I needed to do. They put me in a cell by myself. They strip searched me again. They put me in the orange jumpsuit, and now I'm in solitary with behind the metal door with the little window and the little slot in the door, just like on TV. And I'm going through there, and all of these people are screaming. And I mean, it was a nightmare. And I'm in there, and I got my Bible. That's all I got, and I'm just talking to the Lord. I'm facing the wall and talking to the Lord. And I tell you, the first day was rough because you can't call anybody to let them know whether you're safe. And the girl that was in the cell with me, she was sick. She had gotten sick. And like when you're in this cell, it's the toilet in there, it's the bed in there. We had the shower in there, and we had a desk in there, okay, for 2 people. I didn't know how to make the bed. They gave me 2 top sheets. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with 2 top sheets? She's like, girl, let me show you. So she tied a knot under it, which is something that I never would have thought of, but she tied a knot under it to keep the sheets on, and got this paper thin blanket. And like all day, all night long, while you're trying to sleep, they're shining the flashlight every hour. I guess we had to learn later to make sure that you don't hang yourself, okay? And there's this little window right by my head because I'm on the top bunk. She's on the bottom. She's sick. And I mean like sick, and I'm in the room with her, and she's sick. I'll just leave it at that. She's really sick. And it's a little window at the top, and I could see the stars. I could see, the clouds, and, that's it. That was my view. But the second day was rough because you had all the women yelling, screaming, cussing, crying, toilets flushing. I mean, just crazy. So by day 3, I'm ready. I got to get out of here. Lord, you got to help me get out of here. And I started praying, And the correction officer came through, and she called my last name. She said, Batiste, pack up. You're getting ready to go. So that was day 3. I was on my way to the camp. When I got to the camp, it was a whole different experience. Still prison, but you had a little bit of like freedom. Like I could actually see the cars driving by on the highway, but it was like on a field. I could see, hills out in Alabama, and just beautiful trees, but very isolated, but very kind of like open. And we lived in a warehouse. I lived in Unit D in like a warehouse type situation. But when I got in there, they had makeshift beds for us that they had put right in the front of the door. Like, so soon as you walk in under the bright lights and in the middle of everything, that's where I was assigned to sleep at. Didn't have anything, didn't have any food, didn't have any toiletries, because my money hadn't hit my books yet, couldn't use the phone. But God is so good. They had a girl walking around asking everybody, where you from, where you from, where you from, where you from. And then when she finds somebody from Louisiana, she say, oh, I know people, I'm from Baton Rouge. So when she found somebody from Baton Rouge, she's like, I'm from Baton Rouge. Who your people? Who your people? Who your people? So I was like, I really ain't trying to make no friends right now. I don't know these people. I ain't trying to talk to nobody. But she came through and she said, I'm from Carville. You're from Louisiana. Who are your people? And I said, Carville. And Carville is like a small town. Like everybody know everybody. So if she's from Carville, she knows my family. And so I told her who my family was, and she started calling out my grandmother's name and some of my aunts. And it was like, oh, wow, I've connected. I said, well, if you know these people, then you know my dad. And she said, who is your dad? And I described him. And she said, that's your dad? She said, come here, follow me. I followed her. She pulled out a great big bag and filled my bag up with everything that I needed. Brand new, utensils, food. I mean, just everything, shampoo, toothpaste, you know, all of the stuff from commissary. She filled that bag up and I literally had to drag it. I had to drag it back. And so now I came out of solitary confinement with, I think 12 or 14 other women, and they didn't have anything. None of us had anything. We were looking like, we were homeless because we had been in solitary and it was rough. And I took my stuff. They were looking at me like, where'd she get all that stuff from, right? So I called all of them over and I started sharing the stuff. Here, what you need. That became the first day of my ministry in prison. So from that day forward, when I did get my commissary and I bought it, my stuff, I started creating welcome packets for of the women, right? And so then after 90 days of being in prison, I started doing hair because I'm a licensed cosmetologist. And so ironically, one of the prison hairstylists, she got transferred. And they contacted me. The RA came and she said, I looked in your file. I see that you're a hairstylist. We need a hairstylist over there. Okay, so that's your job. That's your prison job. Well, my hairstyle, my business as a hairstyle, that's my ministry too. Now I get to have connections with these women and learn their stories and be able to be a blessing to them and let them bless me. And so, I could charge for the hairstyles $3, but $3 in commissary. So they would bring their list and say, okay, what you want me to get you, Miss Trudi? They call me Miss Trudi. And I said, give me stamps, give me notebooks, give me flip-flops, give me pencils, and I would do these bags. I would get them to start donating all of this stuff to me. And I would do these bags. And every time a new girl came in, they would, hey, Miss Trudi, we got a new girl. They would come and find me. And I would give them the prison camp tour and tell them, hey, listen, we don't want anything from you. Nobody's going to harm you here. We're just some women that's trying to look after each other because we don't have much supervision here. And I just want to be a blessing to you. And I have some other women, they're going to come and just start putting things on your bed that you're going to need, just accept it. I just kind of made them feel comfortable with accepting from things because there's a jailhouse rule that don't take nothing from nobody because that means that they want something from you, right? So, I really had to reassure them that no, this is not that type of situation unless you about that life. If you about that life, then they gonna find you. You don't have to find them, they gonna find you. But that just became one part of my ministry. They had a chapel there, so I started attending the church. But those 14 girls that I came in with, we would meet once a week and we would just pray with each other and we would just we were new to this whole situation, so we kind of encouraged each other, and I kind of became the leader for them. Just doing what I do, just encouraging people and praying for them and helping them out. I left my locker open. Like I'm one of the few people, if not the only one, that left their locker open all the time because if you needed something, just go to my locker. No one ever stole from me. When we used to have those, shakedowns or whatever, the officers, I had built a rapport with them, and they never bothered my things. And I know that I'm really telling the good part about it because at the end of the day, God really walked with me and really gave me a desire and a heart for this ministry and for these women and for these women's stories. It was not all good. I saw people dying there. I saw people get abused. I saw people raped. I saw people, I saw some awful things. And those were the things that once my prison sentence was over, because I ended up getting my sentence reduced. I got a new attorney who fought for like the loopholes that were in my case, which was, I didn't get a chance to speak to the judge. And so that was like going against my rights or something like that. But anyway, I got a new lawyer to kind of fight for me. And I ended up only doing a year. And 13 months, 2 days is what I did. And then I was immediately released from prison. But throughout that journey, at one point in that journey, I had to go back to court. And this is when my experience was with real jail. Like, okay, I'm in prison. Prison is different from jail. Prison is a little bit different. When I got on the bus to travel from Alabama back to Virginia, first of all, it took me 3 weeks. Why did it take me 3 weeks? Because every stop along the way, I had to stay in a different jail, which meant every stop along the way, I had to be strip searched. Okay, I had to be shackled from my hands and my feet to my waist. Okay, I was in transit with murderers. But again, God shielded me and protected me, because by me coming from the camp, they kept me in a cell by myself, right? Which made the other girls think, oh, she the bad one. She's the murderer because she has to be isolated from us. So it was like,
so you were like, yeah.
Right, because look, someone else from my camp who schooled me said, hey, don't talk to nobody. If they just keep a serious face, and if they ask you anything about your case, just be like, yo, I don't talk about my case. She told me put on this face and just be tough, girl. So I was like, okay. So when they saw me, they was like, oh, what she did? Even the U.S. Marshals was like, okay, why you in here by yourself? What did you do? And I'm like, I met a man. That just became my thing. I met a man. Yep, met the wrong man. You can cuff me, look, lift your feet up, and it just was like, but when I tell you that was a horrendous journey, I can definitely laugh about it now and make light of it now. But when I tell you, just in these times that we're living in, with the justice system that we're living in, I can attest to we have an unfair justice system, and the way that people are treated in prison, especially people of color, it is really serious. I mean, I was in some horrible conditions with mice. I couldn't eat anything the whole time I was gone. And I think I was gone maybe 2 weeks, 2 months or something like that. Had to go to court and then left, and then had to take that ride all the way back on the bus, going to all these different jails. They took me to Oklahoma, and in Oklahoma, I thought I was going to the prison, which again, prison is better conditions than jail. And they took me to the jail, the racist jail in Oklahoma. And listen, you want to talk about somebody that was praying that day? I was praying, and God heard my cry, because some of those women had been there for 3 months waiting to get back. Oh, and I had to fly on the plane. They put me on the jail plane.
Cause did y'all see the movie Con Air? Cause that's all I can think about when that girl told me she had to get on a plane. Con Air. Lord have mercy.
Listen, Con Air.
Absolutely.
Mr. Bill, do you know about Con Air?
I do. I understand it. I have friends who are marshals. So
yeah.
Listen, that Con Air and standing outside of the plane like an assembly line, and people with boxes on them, and and I'm one of few women on the plane, and it's freezing.
And they got the guys in cages, right?
Yes, they put me in a cage to take me to the jail in Virginia, and nightmare experience. It took me a while to be able to tell this story and smile.
I know.
I don't even want to dwell on it, but it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about my friends and my relationships, just going through, because one thing about it, you think everybody's going to be there for you. People who have been with me all of my life, When I went to jail, they were nowhere to be found. You know, family, friends, and I used to be mad about it. I got bitter about it at first, like, why ain't nobody coming to see me? You know, I'm the one that, you know, do anything for you or give you my last dollar to help you pay your bills or whatever. Like, where's everybody at? But I had to really accept that some people felt uncomfortable with my situation. They felt uncomfortable with my situation, right? So they couldn't do it. All right. And so, but I thought about it. I said, these are the same people who needed me to help them. So if they needed me to help them, why am I expecting something different now that I need them? And that's kind of like how I got through it. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't help me when I was out. So why you can help me while I'm in? So, you know, that was that. But and I wrote about it in my book. My family didn't like it. You know, they didn't like that I said that I didn't have any family support. And I got into like a big issue with one of my aunts, and she said, you wrote about me in your book. And I'm like, what? I didn't write about you in my book. What you talking about? She said, you said none of your family. I'm your family. I said, well, you know what? Now that I think about it, I did write about you in my book. Did you come and see me? Did you put any books on any money on my book? Then yeah, I was talking about you. But when I wrote that book, I was in a bitter kind of raw state from what I had gone through, you know, and the psychological impact of incarceration that happened once I came home and once I was released and trying to get back on my feet and, I mean, isolating myself. I mean, nobody knows that psychological impact, how it affects you. I don't care if you have been incarcerated for one day or 10 years. There's a psychological impact that I can't even describe it. I came home, I couldn't even go anywhere. I was confined to my room, you know, and then I had to be boxed in my room. So I got my dad to buy me all of these bookshelves and put them around my wall because I was so used to being in a small space. So I couldn't take the big space. I had been so used to having on one color for that entire year that I couldn't wear colors. You know what I mean? And I just didn't like who was looking back at me in the mirror. I spent a lot of time in a lot of tears because I couldn't articulate my experience to anyone who had not experienced it. I just felt like they didn't get it. And so that first year was rough, but I was determined to write that book because I wrote that book while I was incarcerated. And my book is basically just everything that I went through and kind of like a blueprint of what to do, what to expect, how to prepare for prison, you know, like who's going to need that book, right? But people always say, you don't look like you've been to prison. You don't look like what you've been through. And I always say, well, what does that look like? Who does she look like? Who does he look like? You know, when you say you don't look like it. So I wrote that book as a guide for someone who is a Christian, someone who knows the Lord, someone who made some bad choices and find themselves in that predicament. Here are the do's and don'ts. Here's what you need to do to protect yourself. But not only that, here's how your family can support you. Here's how you can support your loved one who is incarcerated. Here is how I talk to churches about the real prison ministry. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what it meant until I went. You know, prison ministry is not just sending your deacons and your elders to the prison to do a Bible study, okay? It's deeper than that. It's beyond that, but that's what we know of it as. That's what we do. We think if we send a couple of people to the jail, they spending time with the inmates, yeah, that helps. But guess what? The real story is an inmate trying to get out of the cell with all the rest of them people. So they come into everything that you offering. If you offering a crochet class, they coming because they just want to be disconnected from that world. So some of it, I'm not knocking it because some people are just reaching for hope and they're looking for hope wherever they can find it. But prison ministry has to go to the family. You know, prison ministry has to touch the kids. Because I'm going to tell you, as an inmate, if you taking care of my mama and my kids on the outside, you got me. I'm listening to whatever you say, you know. And so that's kind of like my mission that I've been on since my release, is to just share not only my personal experiences, but share the lessons that I've learned after that, and how I've been able to just help so many people to understand how to support your loved one who is incarcerated. That's the best time for them to hear what it is that you have to say. If you're ministering to someone and they're in prison, their ears are open. But we have to choose what we say. You know, we have to show love. We have to just love them to life, and support them, and write letters. I write in my book about how just get a pack of cards from Walmart and just put a "how you doing" and put a stamp on it, and put it in the mailbox, because mail call is the most important part of the day for an inmate. We want to hear our name called. We want other people to hear our name called, because it shows that you have a support system. You know, is that making sense? I feel like I'm talking a whole lot. I feel like I'm
you are. You're wonderful. You're wonderful. So Trudi,
yes.
I am, this is the fourth time that I've heard your story, and it still brings tears to my eyes. Let me say that. But what I know, look where I just folded parts of the pages that I needed. But what I know is that you are so much more open to talking about it now. I mean, you know, we were able to talk in like 30 minutes the first time. It's been almost an hour, and you are just you're touching on everything that is relevant. And so I do want everybody to get your book. Can you type in your email, so if anybody wants to connect with you, they can. Okay. Just put it in the chat down there.
All right.
And real quickly, because it's 7:58, does anybody have a quick question for Trudi? Or just, I know Belinda was like saying she was boohooing. Belinda, are you okay? You're on mute.
Wow, what a story. I am so moved. First of all, let me just tell you, I'm doing a Bible study with some women now on the Holy Spirit and having a relationship with the Holy Spirit. And as I listen to you, it's like how he was moving in your life through this horrendous situation. But I want you to talk about your children. How are they, and how did they react? And then how did you, what are you doing for a living now, and how did you get back?
So my children, I have 3 adult boys. My oldest son is 31. He lives in Chicago. My middle son is 27, and my baby boy just turned 23. Okay. And when I got sentenced, my 2 older boys were at sentencing with me. I did not allow my younger son to come. I did not even tell him that I was going through what I was going through until I knew for sure that I was going to be going to prison, because he was heading to high school, and I didn't want to disrupt that time for him. And so, I'm sorry, he was heading to his senior year in high school, and I didn't want to disrupt that. So my ex-husband and I waited until we knew what was going to take place before we told him. My older children, they took it very hard, of course, because we're very close. My family and I were very close. My kids were very supportive, but I didn't allow them to come to visit me. Did not want them to see me there. Not only did I not want them to see me there, I didn't want them to leave me there. And so I couldn't bear to do it. My parents drove down twice in that year from Virginia to Alabama to visit me. My mom and my stepdad did. My biological dad, who lived closer to the prison, came every other week to visit me. Those were the only visitors that I had. But my children are doing very well. When I was released from prison, after I got off Con Air, I came through Atlanta, and my oldest son was flying in from Chicago. And my flight home was very rough, because the last time I had been on a plane was on Con Air. So I was freaking out on a regular plane. But when I got off of the plane, my oldest son met me at the gate. We kind of like ran into each other, and I just collapsed like in the middle of the airport and just, just sobbed, and everything just felt so good to be free. But my children are fine. They're all very successful men, doing their thing, grown and gone. I recently got my own place. For the first time, I had been living with my parents, and so we're all doing fine. We talk. We're very open about it, very open about the entire experience. They've been very supportive, and I couldn't ask for better boys, honestly. I mean, they have been such a blessing. What I'm doing now, I'm working at VCU. When I first came home, I did connect back with my home ministry, not the ministry that I was connected with when I was dealing with this man.
When you was with the man you met.
Right. So, but I did, and my ministry offered me, I had to have a job when I got out of prison, and I had to, have so many hours a week, and my church did offer me that opportunity, but I spent a lot of time at home. And then I did a lot of community service because I was promoting, helping, supporting incarcerated people. And I worked for a local nonprofit who was very active in helping incarcerated individuals. And then recently, with the last year, I got a job at VCU. And so now I'm currently working at VCU. I've been there for about a year.
And you said at first you weren't even going to apply, right?
I wasn't going to apply. I was scared to death to apply because I'm a convicted felon now. And so I was just so afraid that I wasn't going to even pass the background check. But there God stepped in again, telling me, girl, I got you.
Yep.
So I took a chance on God, and they offered me the job, and I've been there for a year. And, just progressing in my job, just hired a student worker actually last week. And so, making some strides and feeling more back to normal than I have felt in a long, long time.
You really are, you are different. You are different. You're more confident. The smile, we didn't smile that first time. I am so proud of you. I encourage each of you to connect with her and have her to come speak. Because if you never hear the atrocities that she went through, you will hear her faith. And that is what I heard, how God just was there with her. They had told her, what they tell you, might be in solitary for a week or so.
Well, they said they didn't know. They couldn't tell me. They said you may be here for a week, you may be here for a month, you may be here for 2 months. We can't say because we don't have any beds.
Yeah. And she was only in there 3 days.
3 days.
I mean, not only, certainly it wasn't only, but she was there 3 days. And to hear it's just the most amazing story. And I told you guys, it is riveting to me because the atrocities are there, but just her connection to God. And so when I hear people say, oh yeah, I know God, but you're not listening to God. This woman was listening to God, and she trusted God, and she turned her whole being to him. And she went through this for a reason, Trudi. I told you that it didn't happen to you, it happened for you. And I know that, every time I hear your story, and we're going to put it up on my website for people to hear it as well. And, I'll bring you back next year just to say it again, because I just love your growth. I mean, I just love your growth, and your smile is just wonderful. And like I said, when I say, oh, you're in your own place, it's all good. It's just all good.
Rita, can I jump in this one?
Sure.
Look, this is this kind of the second time, because I did hear the first interview that you did, one of the other interviews, but my spirit is speaking to me at this particular point, and the neurons were firing, and I saw from the book of cliches, if you will, ram in the bush, angels, favor, seeds planted, seeds sown, breaking you to make you. All these things our testimony, and I agree with Rita, because I'm going to get you at my church. That's for sure, because we have a large women population, and they need to hear this. And the reason they need to hear this is because in this pandemic time, in this highly racial, politically charged situation, people need to know that they can walk through the fire on faith and come out
That's right.
like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Not smelling like smoke.
That's right.
They don't smell like smoke.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I tell you, but it has been a journey, even with my own place. You know, it was such a blessing, and such God stepped in again, because I was fearful of leaving my parents again. You know, it had been a crutch. They were, I mean, my saving grace, and so accommodating, and I just bless God for them. My mother, she had a stroke this year. And so I left one job situation and went full time and started taking care of my mother. And, you know, I'm so grateful that she is almost 100% again, you know, no major damage, but, you know, it was a journey. And she said to me, she said, Trudi, I think that you need to try to get back on your own. She said, just to see if you can do it for you, you have to do that for you. You got the job, you know, give it a shot. I'm like, okay. So this place that I'm in, it's a condo, and it fell into my lap. I mean, I found something on Facebook Live. It was too good to be true. I came and saw the place. I told the man that I loved it. I bought him my credit report. I bought him my job information. I bought him my credit score, and I bought him the deposit just in case I liked it, right? And I said to him with tears in my eyes, my best friend was with me. I said, listen, I said, you don't have to do the background check. Here's my background check from VCU. I said, but I want to share something with you. I'm a convicted felon. I said, this is my first time trying to get back on my own. I said, if you give me a chance, I promise you that I won't let you down. I said, I am a person of integrity. I said, but this is my situation. I'm trying to recover. If you give me a chance, not only did he give me a chance, but this condo came fully furnished. Everything that you see behind me,
What?
this place. When I say fully furnished, king size bed, flat screen TV, like big one, I guess 60-inch, fireplace, all of the dishes. What happened was, when he got this condo, when he first started renting it out, he was renting it out as an executive suite, because I'm right over here near the golf course. And so he was renting out, and he said, you know, I really don't want to do this short term anymore. I just want to get a long-term lease, right? Well, it was mine. And so I've been here now since March. Actually, I moved in 2 weeks before the pandemic hit.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Good.
2 weeks before the pandemic hit. Not knowing if I was going to have a job, okay? Not knowing if I was going to be able to pay this man. And I'm gonna tell you, when my rent is due on the 1st of every month, by the time he wakes up in the morning, he has mine. And I pay my rent, and it includes all of my utilities, washer.
Woo.
I mean, I got a big whirlpool listen, I got a big balcony outside, you know, with the furnishings on it. Listen, everything that I needed, God provided. I didn't have to spend one dime.
He ain't finished with you yet, trust me.
So I praise him. I thank him every opportunity. You know, I can smile, you know, sharing my story, because I am so extremely blessed. I see God's hand moving in my life, in the life of my children, in the life of my family. My son is a successful makeup artist in Chicago, celebrity makeup artist. I have another son, he's a chef here in the city. I have another son, he's working for Pepsi Cola. My kids are blessed. They take care of me, you know. So I don't regret anything about my journey, because I do realize now that it's just my story, you know. It's just a part of what I had to go through so that I can give him the glory.
That's right.
He gets it. He gets it all. He gets it all. And
So we could probably do this more offline, but my final question to you tonight is, after all this is said and done at this point, what is it that God would have you to do, and how can we help you?
I'm writing again, and really, I can't. As much as I try to separate, my job and what I do at VCU to what I've gone through, I kind of want to separate those two. Where my passion is to help people families of incarcerated people, or people who are facing
Okay.
incarceration. That is my passion. I have a word for families who are living in shame because they have a loved one who is incarcerated, don't want to talk about it. I have so many people come whispering to me, oh, my son is in jail. No. We don't have anything to be ashamed of, because God is in control of everything. And I want to show loved ones how to support their loved ones who are incarcerated and tell their own stories, because they have a story too. So,
Okay.
does that answer?
We will just stay in touch with you. Lisa, you gonna say something?
Yeah, I have two questions. The first one is, this is just, my mind is blown, but as far as your emotional health, I know your faith is strong and I can see that. But what, did you get counseling after you got out of prison, or you just solely depended on your faith to pull you through?
I did get counseling, and actually I'm still in counseling. I do check in a month with my counselor. That was because of that, like I talk about the psychological impact of incarceration and all of those symptoms there. I had
almost like PTSD symptoms, PTSD, like a PTSD feeling.
And it's actually an actual term called post-incarceration syndrome.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But it's very similar to PTSD. And because of that is, checking in with my counselor has been very instrumental for my health, because I have dark days and I have triggers. And I can't tell sometimes what will trigger me. It could be a song. Actually, it can be a gospel song that takes me back to what I was listening to when I was on the prison campus. You know what I'm saying? And it would take me to a place. Or it could be watching everything that's going on now. Oh my God, like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all of those are for me, or watching someone who has a court case and gets this ridiculous sentence. I'm moved by all of that. I can't watch movies about incarceration.
Yeah.
I'm very emotional. So my emotional state, I always try to stay on top of it, because if I get into that dark spot, I'm there for like 3 days. Honestly, I'm still in recovery.
Right. All right. And then my second question is, did he go to jail?
He go to jail. He did.
That was my question too. Thank you.
He did.
Good. Thank you.
Oh, he got a part of that ham sandwich too, huh? Okay,
yeah,
good.
He actually went before I did. He was sentenced before I was.
Very good.
He went for 5 years. He did.
Very good. Oh.
That was a nasty dog.
Is your book on Amazon? Is your book on Amazon?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. It is. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm ordering today.
Trudi,
yes.
I adore you.
Thank
you. I do.
Okay.
You know I do. I just adore you. I'm so glad you were on tonight. Obviously, I always want more people to be on, but the people who were on here tonight have heard a word. They've heard a word.
Absolutely.
And all we can do is just literally continue to pray. And that's what I was saying when I was talking earlier. I mean, what we're going through with this COVID is nothing like what you went through. And so we always make such a big deal about little stuff, and we just allow ourselves to get caught up in what's around us and have no idea how somebody like you, like I said, who is successful and this and that and the other. And I mean, it's just, the story just is something.
I can't imagine being incarcerated during these COVID times.
Oh, girl.
Girl.
Yeah.
But the other the other part of it is how someone could, single women and dating and, not even understanding how they even find themselves in a
Yeah.
situation.
And a pastor too.
Right,
Right.
exactly. And we hear all the time about women getting, caught up with men who pretend like they're successful with these shell companies, and they end up losing their life savings. And it's scary, but you think about it and you ask yourself, well, why didn't she see? How did she?
Yeah.
And you can't say that because you're living your life, you're in a relationship, and you thought you was building something, and then all of a sudden it's like,
Right.
what? Mail fraud? What in the world?
Yeah.
So it's so many underlying lessons in your story, and
Yes,
it's almost
there are.
like it's almost like God sent you through that
Yes.
to tell it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's
For so long, I've been afraid to tell it.
And Trudi, from again where you are today and where you were that first time I saw you sitting in the corner of my couch, you were just almost shrunk because it was so hard for you then. And I have to tell you, when I thought about calling you this time, I'm like, I said, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But I just think it is way too powerful for, for anybody. Everybody needs to hear it. And so having said that, girl, we're going to get a movie out of this thing, I think.
I was about to ask, when is the movie coming out?
Movie out of this. But we ain't going to let Denzel play the pastor, because then won't nobody like him. So Denzel can't be the pastor on this one.
I'm actually working on my another book. I won't say my second book, but another book that is a fiction that's loosely based on what I went through. So.
Okay, good. Good.
See.
Well, I love your place. I just love it. I love it. I just love it. I can't wait to come over and see you. So you just be good. I thank all of y'all for being on tonight. I want you to get her, that's her website. Stay in touch with her. Invite her to whatever you're doing so that she can be a part of it. And Belinda, you had something?
The name of the book.
Say it again.
Did you mention the name of the book?
Flagged by the Feds. Which one?
Oh, that's the name of the book. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the name of the book. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flagged by the Feds. Yeah.
Mm.
And so can you imagine her coming to my office? She said, so-and-so said we should meet. And then she gives me this book, and Flagged by the Feds means, y'all, I was so messed up when this girl was in my office. I was so messed up. I couldn't believe it. So
you were like, what? You better tell that story. I said, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to make it about
she said.
I don't want to make it about.
I said, no, baby, you got to tell this story. You got to tell this story, because that's why you got to tell this story. So absolutely. So listen, I am at my office. I got to get home to support my candidate at 9:00. That's all I'm going to say. But he can't do well unless I'm there with him. So having said that, I thank all. Oh, let me tell you, next month, 4th Tuesday of the month. Ange, what date is that, baby? I don't remember it's the 4th Tuesday of the month. I have a woman who, by the name of Gloria Freeman. She's she's from Minnesota. She is an incredibly successful businesswoman. She has, I think it is 12 nursing homes and 2 assisted livings. And she never went to college, and her upbringing was pretty traumatic. And so she is one that I've been working with, and I said, girl, you have to tell your story. You got to tell your story. And she said, I think I'm ready to. So she is going to be my guest next month at 7:00. So I hope that you will join me. I am looking for these courageous women who've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt.
It'll be October 27th.
October 27th. So please write that down at 7:00. What'd you say, Belinda? You're on mute. You're good?
Oh, it muted you again, Miss Belinda.
You're still on mute.
Sorry.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Miss Belinda.
There you go.
There
I
you go.
thought that it was the 26th, but I don't have my glasses on. I still have tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thank
hear
Miss
you.
Trudy, allow your light to
Thank
keep
you.
shining bright because wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love
Thank
you
you.
guys. And Billy, thank you for being the guy in here and entertaining us in the beginning. We couldn't have asked for any more from you. Thank you so much.
There's a lot more resource that I could offer you if you know, I'm getting ready to retire, so I'm back in the media business again.
All right.
So
Well, you and I will
service.
connect, okay?
Yeah. All righty.
All right, guys. Take care. Love everybody.
Bless Miss
Bye-bye.
Good
Trudy.
night.
Good
Have a
night.
good one.
Thank
Thank you, Miss Trudy.
Thank you, Miss
You,
Rita.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Trudy,
Thank
I'll
you
talk
all.
with you, sweetie, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, darling. Love you much.
Love you too. Can't wait to have you over.
I can't wait to come, girl. On the golf course, I can just look.
Yep. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful situation.
I know it is. I know it is. Thank you, love.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Lee, you getting ready to hang up? So I got to push in, Angie, right, so that I can finish the recording.
Yes, ma'am. Just hit leave meeting and you are good to go.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
and then I
leaving
can get, Lee, are you going off?
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye. I don't know.
Be-
Here we go. All right, Ange, I'll talk to you, sweetie.
Awesome.
You
I'll talk to you
enjoyed it?
later. Phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Let me
full.
get off of
I'm
this
full.
recording. All right, sweetie.
Okay. I'm full.
Bye-bye.
Night, teacher. I'll see you guys later.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.